Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this first webinar in February, Survival of the Fittest, here from Crunchfish. I hope you are having a good day. I am certainly. This is my first time joining in as a moderator for this special occasion. I'm very happy for it. I hope you all are having a good morning. This is our new, habit. Every Friday morning, 8 o'clock, Central European time, it's time for this survival of the fittest, and we have a beautiful panel today. We have, as always, Joachim. Good morning. Hello, everybody. To you.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Johan.
And thanks for the opportunity to be moderator, and you will just be a normal day for Joachim, presenter, telling us all about digital cash.
Johan, I feel so relaxed having you here. So this feels great, Johan.
Well, great. So it's a good morning for you?
It's a good morning for me, yes.
Yes, and then we have other panelists joining in all the way from Stockholm. Magnus Lagerson, CPO Crunchfish Digital Cash. Good morning.
Good morning, Johan. How are you?
I'm fine. And how's it in Stockholm today?
It's wonderful, rainy and windy, and yeah.
Okay, let's go to India. Do you have it rainy and windy also there? Mr. Gagan Kusha, Senior Business Developer, Crunchfish Digital Cash, India.
Hi, Johan. Absolutely.
Hello. Is it a rainy morning? Shitty morning?
It is. Yeah, for a change.
So, well, it's a big country, much bigger than Sweden. So where in India are you?
I'm in Delhi. I'm in Delhi, which is the capital. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's been raining since the last 2 days. So, yep.
Okay. Well, it's not minus degrees at least. So it's no. So good to have you with us. I know we have plenty of people joining in from India, and I believe it's noon there. Is it 12:30 or what is it? What is it?
It is just afternoon.
Okay, great. How many are you working at Crunchfish in India?
Oh, there are 4 of us in India, and we cover the geography very nicely because India is a vast geography. You need to be in different parts of India to be able to, kind of discuss the proposals with people. So I think we cover it very well.
And it's the leading market I've learned to know from Joachim. That's in India. There's where everything is happening, I believe.
Oh, absolutely. In digital payments, I would say India is, in a way, leading the world in terms of the number of transactions. We're probably number 1.
Okay, great. So good to have you with us, and you will all be able to participate if you're watching this, wherever you are. So you can join in by using the where's the chat button? Oh, at the bottom. So you can ask your questions, and you can see these people are very reliable, witty, clever, and they will give you all the answers. So, and if they don't, it will be interesting discussion because we are trying to, get hold of what is digital cash, what are the opportunities, and together there will be, I believe there will be a great success, and it will be a very fascinating story to follow. So let's dive into this. Just first of all, Joachim, tell me how have we built up this session? We have 3 parts.
Yep. I'll start with a presentation. This is a pretty meaty one, so I think it will take the 20 minutes that we have. Then it will be we changed the format a little bit. It will be a moderator-led Q&A where you take lead, Johan.
Yes,
then,
I will.
That's number 2. Also 10 to 20 minutes, and then it will be open forum where we will try to cover all the questions that come in from the audience as well as the third one. So, and we have to be ready by 9 because then we're having breakfast. You know that, Johan.
Yeah, and you have had your lunch in India.
Well, so, they normally have late lunch, what I've understood.
Okay, great. So please join in with all your questions. I will gladly pass them on. So use that space, and no questions are too stupid to post. So do that, please. And then just tell us about the concept, because every Friday at 8 Central European time we have this session. But then from Friday to Friday, there's some different versions. Tell us more about that, Joachim.
Yeah, well, the cycle is always, we start a new cycle now. It's going to be first digital cash. Next one will be gesture. We're back to digital cash. Every second one is digital cash. And then we have the fourth one in a month will be on a broader Crunchfish related topic. So we are back into our second cycle here for February. We just did January, but now it's February, and we start anew with the cycle of 4.
And when you say gesture, what is that?
Gesture interaction, how you control consumer electronics with gestures, hand gestures or body movements.
Okay, and that will be next week then?
Yes.
Okay, so, well, let's dive into this topic, and I'll give it to you, Joachim. Tell us about today's topic, and please pose some questions if you have. The best of luck to you, Joachim.
Thank you. Well, yeah, today the topic is central bank digital currency, how we apply digital cash for CBDC. It's an interesting area. It's a hot area in the world. Most central banks in the world are thinking about CBDC, whether they should launch it. Some have already done pilots. I don't know, the Olympics starts in China. They have said that a new thing that they will actually showcase to the world is CBDC in China. So it is sort of, things are happening within CBDC. And China is, I think, one of the countries that has pushed quite hard for it as a service. And I'm going to talk about how digital cash applies for CBDC. So the agenda is, there's sort of 3 topics here. I'll give you, I think I need to put everybody on the sort of same level and talk about digital cash. I did this in a webinar. The very first one was a digital cash overview. You can always go into our crunchfish.com/webinars and find those webinars. But in this webinar, I'll give a little bit of a background. Then I'll talk about digital cash for CBDC, and then I'll dive into what does digital cash bring for CBDC? What is the benefits that we have for CBDC? And yeah, I'll do this in the context of our, obviously, the Crunchfish Digital Cash, which we believe is extremely applicable for CBDC and any sort of type of payment rail. But I'll right now focus CBDC. So digital cash payments, well, it's sort of a bit of a mixture between digital payments and cash payments. And if we look at a schematic view of what are digital payments? Well, it is essentially 2 steps. There is a step of payment, and that is just digitally to be in agreement between a payer and a payee. A payee is the receiver of the payment. They need to be sort of in agreement that, well, I have received something, a digital payment. Not necessarily needs the money to have moved. That could be a second step. And that is what is called settlement. So you settle as well. And that is when money is moved between an account of the payer, typically via the central bank, to an account of the payee. That's the settlement step. There are payment services like instant payments. In India, there is the UPI scheme. In Sweden, where Magnus worked before and was the product lead, is Swish. Which is a very popular service where they have combined the payment step and the settlement step into one step, really. So that's why it's called instant, because it all happens at once, really. But essentially, this is what digital payments is all about. The money you have to use here are not guaranteed by the central bank. This is commercial bank money. Whatever you have in your account is backed by the bank, not the central bank. Then there could be regulations in the country where the political reasons they have given you some sort of assurance that if the bank goes belly up, you could actually claim a certain amount of that from the state. That's another assurance. But the money essentially is guaranteed by the bank. That's sort of digital money. Cash money, that is what is issued by the central bank. The central bank would distribute them out. in many countries actually using a Swedish service called Loomis. So Loomis have trucks coming out with money to banks to distribute cash that they put into ATMs, automatic sort of teller machines, where you could withdraw money. That's step one. So money comes out to the public via typically ATMs. And then there is a payment step, just like before. And that's again is some sort of agreement between the payer and the payee. And it's final. When you have provided the payee with the banknote, well, then it's you've paid and the payee is happy. And the trust in that money is sort of assured by the central bank. The central bank says you have a claim on us, the central bank, for that banknote that you just received. And what you can do as a payee is to deposit that money, so it goes back into the a bank account again. So a cash payment is about you withdraw, you pay, and then you deposit. And in some sense, digital cash payments that we are all focused on in Crunchfish, it's sort of a little bit of a hybrid between digital payments, as you remember, that had these steps: pay and settle in a digital way, but it's also resembling a little bit the cash nature, because what we had before as the withdrawal, that is similar in a way to the step one here, reserve. So you reserve some money. You reserve some money from your bank account, so you have it available for payments, and then it will be used when we do the third step, settlement. But the unique thing with digital cash is that we always do it in 3 distinct steps: reserve, pay, settle. We always split it up. There's 3 distinct steps. Get your money, so you have it available to you. You make the payment, and then we settle. So if we look at this from a payer perspective, then we could have those reservation in 2 different places. We can have it at the bank. They could set up what I have here in the top left corner, digital cash online. This is basically an account where you have reserved out money from your transactional account in the bank. So the digital cash online is a back-end bank function where you could have this reservation. But you could also reserve further into a digital cash offline that, for instance, could be sitting in a mobile phone. Then you have a reservation of money, which is represented by a balance in your mobile app. Remember, it's just a reservation. Where is the money sitting? Well, it still sits at the core banking system. We haven't moved money. We have just sort of put a hold on money. That's the reservation step. So we put a hold on money, and we can either have a balance digital cash online, or we can have it digital cash offline, and we can have combinations in between them as well. And the good thing here is that it provides 2 very important features. The digital cash online means that we could pay without the core banking system. The core banking system for many banks are quite often old systems and really not built for the volumes that we will see in today's digital payments market. And certainly not if CBDC will come around. It will be such high volumes if we're going to replace cash with CBDC. So we need a design thinking of how could we stand up with this system. And we believe digital cash online is that. If we then go to digital cash offline, the main thing that one brings is that now we could pay without network connectivity. Typically with these digital systems is that you need connectivity. If you're going to do what's called a push payment, is sort of that the payer is pushing the payment through the system. The payer needs to be online in order to do that push payment. But we could facilitate that payment experience without any network connectivity whatsoever. We don't need it on the payer side, and we don't need it on the payee side either. That's sort of from a payer perspective. Now, let's shift the focus. Let's shift the focus to the receiving side. Now, I still have then digital cash online and offline, but I put it in black here instead. That's sort of from the payer side. But just look at how the system could be set up on the receiving side. Now we're looking from the perspective of the digital cash payee, the receiver. And what our system brings are some incredibly important and nice features, certainly for CBDC. Number one there at the bottom, you see that we provide a system where you could receive payment with, but also without even having to have done anything. You are not onboarded in any way, and you're still able to receive payment. That takes away a lot of pressure on building an acquiring network, because you can build it as you go along. And that's a similar feature as cash, if you think of it, because you can come to a country, you may have just learned how the dollar notes looks like, but someone can just hand you a dollar note, and then you're part of it. You received some value. We provide that same facility that without doing anything, you could receive payment. You don't have to prepare anything. You don't have to be onboarded. You don't have to do anything. That's a very cash-like feature that digital cash from Crunchfish provides. We have still, as I described before, number two, we can receive, well, you can have network connectivity, but you can also receive without any network connectivity. And that's very important for cash, as you know, is an offline type of activity. You just hand over a banknote, no connectivity is needed. Digital payments, we've sort of made ourselves dependent on the net. And I don't think that's gonna fly if we're gonna do CBDC. CBDC needs to work as well offline in order to make sure that disaster scenarios and so on, it works anyway, even if sort of networks are down, even temporarily or for longer blackout periods. Number three, and that's an interesting one as well, we could provide the ability for the receiver to pay forward or not. It's all about a design from the regulator. The regulator could decide that if you receive a payment, yeah, you received something, you can verify that it's a legit payment, but you can't do anything with it until you bank that transaction. You sort of have to settle it. You have to send it up to the backend. Then you can sort of top up again and use that same money, but you have to sort of take the route that you have to go online and then you can take it down again. That could be one choice. But we can certainly also support that if you receive a payment, what you could do then as a receiver is to increase the digital cash balance that you have available to you, and you could then pay forward. In this case, what is needed is what's said here under the payee in the right corner. You also need a digital cash offline if you're going to pay it forward. But if you're not really in this part yet onboarded, you could have nothing, because what you can do then is to go online to, and I put 3 examples here of digital cash verifiers. They could sit at the central bank where you can send an incoming payment to the central bank for verification. It could maybe be at the payment switch, or it could be at the issuer who have issued the payment service where it came from. Various examples. This is what allows you to do this completely offline. But it can also be that you have pre-installed a verifier. Again, you don't have the ability to pay forward, but you could, in an offline mode, receive a payment and make sure and can trust that this is a legit payment. This is when you have downloaded yourself a digital cash verifier. If I bring this together, and then I'll start talking about CBDC a little bit more, but what this is a system of layers here. The payment services that a bank is sort of deploying is hitting the core banking system. That's how it's done without digital cash. But with digital cash, we provide additional features to the systems here. In the middle here, I have what I call digital cash online. This is, and I went through that a little bit in my previous digital cash session on benefits. It's a layer 1 overlay, meaning that we are not adding any security new security, the only thing we do is that we chop up the transaction into reserve, pay, and settle. So we notify the payee using the normal payment rail that you've been paid. Then we settle, or the bank will settle it when sort of core banking system is up and available. It provides load balancing, it provides stability, and we can have a shared digital cash online balance. That's what that brings. But at the bottom part, this is a lot of where the Crunchfish IP is, and that could be either coming out of a balance which is online or offline. Doesn't matter. It could be online or offline. But what we do is that we send payments as digital cash messages. And this is the beauty of, I think, what Crunchfish has, that a payment is simply a message. It's a message that could be sent to anywhere, really. If you just have a digital sort of an email account, could be one thing. It could be on WhatsApp. It could be on Messenger. Anywhere is where you could just receive. You just need internet basically, and then you can receive a digital cash message. And if you're offline, we can even do it then with our own proximity technology to just hand it over in proximity. But essentially, it's about digital cash layer 2 solution from Crunchfish is about just sending digital cash messages. I think this concept is so important. So I'll dedicate 4 weeks from now, on the 4th of March, an entire session on digital cash messages, because that is the secret sauce of digital cash layer 2 solution from Crunchfish. So let's go back a little bit then and take the second subject, digital cash for CBDC. And here there are various architectures that has been talked about for central banks. You could either have a direct CBDC model. This means that the central bank will take on functions that typically the banks are doing, that they have to have user accounts, they have to do KYC, all these things, that this is a service directly from the central bank to the population. That is called a direct CBDC architecture. I think where most people are going, or most central banks are going, is to the right here, a hybrid model. It is similar in a way, but it is a two-tier model, that you have a wholesale level where the central bank will issue digital cash, or central bank digital currency to commercial banks and financial institutions. So they deal with their regulated banks and financial institutions. And then in turn, it is the banks or financial institutions that does all this with know your customers, and they have the customer relationship. That's the hybrid model. In any of these two, for retail CBDC, basically touching all the customers, digital cash is needed in order to deliver a, I think a good setup for a digital cash. So I just zoom out or zoom in, or whatever you want to see it. I have the hybrid model here, and you can see here again that we have digital cash online and we have offline, and then on the receiving side, it could either be then you can pay to another digital cash offline, so you can pay it forward, or you can just have a verifier. Or as I explained before, you don't even have to have anything if you're not onboarded yet. And then also there could be digital cash online or a verifier on the receiving side as well, up in the up in the back end as well. Let's look at wholesale a little bit. I had this picture. This is me playing with basically making a statement. This is from the Matrix, that there is a choice. There is a choice for central banks how you want to play it. You could either look at your CBDC, as the name says, as a currency which just could be running on the same banking infrastructure that you already have in country. You know, you currently have a currency where you have digital money. You know, in Sweden we have you can have Swedish krona on your banks. This could be a new then currency, which is the central bank digital currency, Swedish krona, but it's just a currency. That means that all infrastructure built with banks today, just like they can handle Norwegian crowns or Danish crowns or US dollars or Indian rupees or whatever it is, it's just another currency, no problem at all. They can deal with it that way. Alternatively, what they try to do is actually then to digitize the banknote. And you know, a banknote, they have a special serial number and everything. And if they're going to do that in a digital form, they arrive at what is then a digital token. A token that every time you make a transaction with that token, you need to split the token. So if I have 150 as a digital token and I pay 25, that needs to be split in two. The guy who got 25 from me, they need, you know, from that 150, they need to have a new token with 25, and I'm left with 125, and we need to kill the one that I originally had for 150. It's sort of a new format for money where you fork out all the time doing it this way. But that means that all banking infrastructure needs to be upgraded to support that new format. So that's another choice. That's the blue pill. You can choose the blue pill, and quite honestly, this is the track that most central banks are on. I argue that there is, just like in Matrix, there is another route, which is the red pill, which is so much more easier, will give no banking infrastructure sort of upgrades, and it will be an extremely fast implementation if you were to take that route. When it comes to digital cash that we provide, we are needed in either. So in some sense, I don't really care if the central banks would go for, to the right here, the blue pill, to set up a crypto exchange, to have this new money format, and to have a token-based infrastructure. Certainly, be my guest, build that, do it with blockchain or not blockchain, do it in any way you want. You will need anyway, in my opinion, digital cash online and digital cash offline in order to make this really work with the features of cash. If you don't do that, you are basically setting up typically another online payment service. And we have several of them already, as you know, with our instant payments and card services. It doesn't help much unless you start looking into the cash-like features. That what does cash represent? That is what needs to be represented in digital form. But you could also go, as I said, with a red pill. And then, you know, don't change the banking infrastructure. Don't ask them, all your banks in a country, to upgrade. You still could keep control, and you could get regular reports on where all your central bank digital currency, where they are located per bank. So you have absolutely sort of control here. You don't need that extra control, in my opinion, from changing to another money format. And there as well, on the left side here, yeah, you need digital cash online and digital cash offline. So let me then go into quickly here a little bit on what are the benefits? Why am I so certain that digital cash is of use for CBDC? What do we bring? Well, if I look at CBDC payment rails, well, two ways of doing it. It could be just, as I said, a direct model, a direct architecture, sort of just CBDC straight out to the customers from the central bank. Or alternatively, you do it sort of using any of the existing payment rails. It could be over cards, this could be over instant payment, it could be over crypto, you know, and there are others actually as well. But the central bank could decide on this hybrid architecture, which I think is the model where most are going, in order to not disrupt the current sort of payment landscape. So you will implement CBDC as a hybrid. You have wholesale down to the financial institutions, and they are handling then the next sort of step. But looking at what does digital cash bring for CBDC? Let's turn the card for CBDC, and this is what it looks like. I have at the top corner, 1, 2, 3 here. These are the layer 1 solution features that I talked about. We could, either for the central bank, but in a hybrid model, for any of the banks, we could provide the possibility to pay, even if a bank is temporarily down. That doesn't affect the service of CBDC. So online payment still works. we do load balancing, because now it's going to be huge volumes and we need to have load balancings on the back end. So the reason why load balance is important, but with high load, you really don't want to build a whole system designed for peak demand. This provides a stability and robustness of it. And then this is important as well. All payment apps, all payment rails could use one and the same online balance here. They can all share it. This, what I have here, is what the layer 1, the light green, if you remember before, that layer provides. Extremely important for any CBDC implementation. But we also have digital cash offline for CBDC. And then what we deliver is the ability to pay offline without any network. This is for the user. The user could be offline. This still works. We have a secure way of authenticating, and we can even do cross-currency between countries here, even in an offline mode. These sort of 3 features here, number 4, 5, and 6, as well as these other 14, are all built on layer 2 capabilities from Crunchfish, using what I will talk about in 4 weeks' time, digital cash messages. And because these digital cash messages will bring us service interoperability, we can have the same CBDC service could be interoperable over different sort of payment schemes. We have ease of use. It doesn't, you don't just need to have a smartphone. This could also be on cards. And then I'm gonna touch on 9, 10, 11 a little bit more, because they are extremely interesting for, I think, a cash-like type of feature. But we will have an instant verification. We will have very fast transactions. We can have this as a service that runs on cards. We are agnostic to anything really, operating system or how you do proximity. The payment device could be on anything, and the terminal for the payee could be on anything. It really brings financial inclusion here. But 9, 10, 11, let me just talk about that. And that's my last point here. This fact that we don't need to onboard provides that cash-like inclusiveness nature of cash. You don't have to do anything to start be part of the game. We have that same thing. So you could set up just a donaldduck@gmail.com. You could receive a payment there. You can go online to just check at the trusted source that this is a legit payment. And then what that means that we also bring privacy, because you have just paid to someone that is completely unknown actually. But that person who have received that payment can't do much with that payment. It needs to, if it's gonna start paying with it, it either have to onboard themselves to have a payment facility themselves, digital cash offline. Alternatively, they have to, at the bank, say, at the minimum level at least, some KYC. And this will be set by the central bank, how much must be known by people. But that level provides a level of privacy here, which is similar to what we are private with cash. If you're gonna take in a lot of money here, pay big amounts, well, you probably have to do a full KYC. So then you can't be private, just like you can't be today with cash. And this provides also then this smooth onboarding. Very important to roll out CBDC. We don't have to ask anyone to onboard first. We can do it as we go along. And that feature, I think, is great for any payment service who wants to build up their sort of user base, the smooth onboarding that we will provide here. So for these reasons, I believe really that we are sitting with something here, Crunchfish Digital Cash, which is the future of payments. The secret sauce are actually, to some extent, these digital cash messages, and I'll do a much better job on explaining what that is in 4 weeks' time. But this is regardless of form factor, mobile, web, cards, wearables, regardless of payment rail, it could be card, instant, crypto, or CBDC, regardless of offline and online. This is the thing you want to have in order to have a great sort of payment service. And that's Johan. Well, I don't know if now I can breathe. I'm one of those people who can I can go for about 20 minutes without breathing, as you noticed. So, but I will breathe now.
But I think actually you were quite educational on the way, so it's well done.
Thank you.
And I like the Matrix parallel. And well, a thought I got here: who are you? What character in the Matrix movie are you?
I'm Morpheus. I'm a relative to Morpheus, but
Okay.
with a J, Orpheus.
Okay, so you're not the Oracle, or
No, I'm Orpheus.
And who are the agents? If we take the parallel from the movie,
that is the payment industry that want to suck the central banks and the banks dry by delivering sort of payment service that they don't need.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Joachim. Let's go to and you can hear from people around the world joining in with a round of applause. Let's get to the next step, our panelists. And I'm just so curious, Magnus and Gogan, your thoughts about spontaneous thoughts from this about this presentation. Let's start with you, Gogan.
So I think it's CBDC is quite relevant for India. It's quite contextual because recently in the budget, which happened on 1st of February, even our finance minister actually spoke about that the central bank will roll out a CBDC pilot in another year's time, right? So that's the target for the market. And
this is from the highest level in India. They talk about this.
Absolutely, and they're talking about the benefit, the cost benefit of CBDC versus the actual cash, which is there in the market today.
So if in your words, why is this so important for India?
Well, so India has a huge cash component, unlike Sweden, right? So CBDC, typically the cost of handling cash is anywhere between 15 to 17% for the central bank, right? From issuing to managing between banks and finally, destroying it. The cost is almost 17% of the value of the currency. So if that can go down in some form or manner, CBDC can actually really impact the economy in a big way.
Yeah. Magnus, your reflections when you're listening to Joachim?
Yeah, but I can just agree with what Gagan said. CBDC and it means what it can do is incredibly good. Like here in Sweden, we have the e-krona project, which is like a piloting thing. And in order to actually in Sweden, we have, what is it now? Very, very little cash usage. And the only way to actually replace the cash totally is to have a CBDC kind of means. And then you also need to cater for the things which Joachim mentioned. You need to cater for privacy. You have to be able to use the digital currencies offline. So you can actually attract all of the different use cases which are there for cash. Swish is super. I love Swish. I've always been working with it. So of course I like it, but there is of course things which are different compared to cash. And in order to go the last mile, you need to have more features, so to say.
Yeah, and if you're talking about, we have Swish in Sweden, and you told us about the Indian version. You said it
the digital rupee.
Okay, and if you compare your last job at Swish, Magnus, what are the benefits with this system that Crunchfish has?
Yeah, but there are like different kind of features, and some of the features we actually have in the digital cash product as such could be used also in systems like UPI and Swish and all of the different instant systems as well. So CBDC is just one of the use cases which is possible to use it for. So that's what I mean. You could bring it into any of the wallets or the instant schemes, and you will then reach full redundancy and so on. And those are the important components. You need to have trust in the systems, and it has to always work in order to, replace the cash, which is the last resort for many people. And even now in Sweden, even if you have cash, and everything else is down, you cannot always use cash because there's a lot of merchant who doesn't even want to or can receive cash.
Yeah.
So you have to cater for this, the last mile, so to say.
So if I get to another movie, I say, "Show me the money, show me the money." How do we do that?
Yeah, then you show your mobile or your wearable.
Well, that's not a good picture in a movie. I would say that's you need a suitcase, you know, that kind of picture.
No,
so,
no.
So okay, let's. So if I have a person who've never heard about digital cash who said, okay, what are the benefits? Tell me. Let's do this together. Joachim, you start with what are the main benefits you think?
Well, as I said, there are so many. Certainly for CBDC.
Yeah, we will get them all, but let's start.
No, but it provides that payment availability works all the time, regardless of whatever. But also, I think privacy, which is a key component that people are today happy that they could be private. We don't want the eavesdropping of central banks or even commercial banks on your transactions. This would provide that.
So we have availability and privacy.
I think these are, and with availability that goes also offline, obviously, as I said, and the banks could be down, for instance. That that's what I mean with has to work all the time, regardless.
And offline privacy, I think that's good.
It's in any combination. It could be online privacy as well, but that's the same thing, really. You need to be able to pay even if you are. You need to be able to be private. That should be that's a common good that you can still be that even if we go digital.
Okay, Gogan, we have availability and privacy. What do you add?
So I think the ability to receive, the money with or without being onboarded is a big thing, because that and being able to pay without a network, these are very relevant in the case of a marginalized person who's trying to operate in a digital environment. I think that's so if one was to go outside the main cities into the rural hinterland in India, there would be many people without a bank account. There would be many people without connectivity who would benefit from such a solution, which could cater to. So it will make the digital currency, which is the CBDC, far more popular.
And how do you make these people to rely on this system? So you think it's trustworthy? How do you get there?
So I think the trust in the solution itself is the fact that it's a simple solution. And the simplicity comes from the fact that digital cash operates on the principle of messages. And the other side is, of course, the banks are, of course, pushing it. And that brings in the element of trust as well.
Thank you. Okay, Magnus, let's go back to the benefits. We have with or without being onboarded, privacy, availability. What do you add?
I would like to bring up another thing, and that's a need for speed. If you see a lot of the different...
Let's keep the movies going.
Yeah, but if you look at many of the CBDC projects which are currently ongoing, they talk about very limited number of transactions executed or processed per second. And if you go like to India, you process 4 billion transactions in 1 month or something like that. Then you understand that you need to cater for tremendously executions per second. And some of the systems out there now in the CBDC world are maybe handling 2 to 3 transactions per second. And that's then you know that those systems won't fly. Then they say, oh, we maybe can handle hundreds of transactions per second. That will still not fly. I mean, you need to be able to manage thousands of transactions per second in order to have a system which could replace cash. And what we can do with digital cash is to ease off the burden of the systems and make that happen.
So what are the limits for digital cash, do you think? Are there any limits at all?
Yeah, there are always limits somewhere, but we haven't really seen what the roof could be so far, but at least it's much higher than the 2 to 3 or hundreds. I mean, and it's also the way of thinking, the logic of how we do it. Joachim explained a bit about how you do with its tokens, and the token way in order to execute transactions fast is not the way forward. If you have to do several exchanges, you know that your system will not be efficient, and you will have people standing in line. And so it's like I'm a control engineer actually from starters, and you can see quite easily and fast that, okay, if you have to do all of these different kind of things, you cannot optimize the process at all. So you have to think new, and that's what we have done, I would say. And that's a big benefit.
We will soon go to the questions coming from you in the audience. I can see we have Pashpa Marval, who had posted two questions. So if you have any, just send them through the chat forum. Any more benefits you're thinking of, Joachim?
I
think we got plenty.
I think, yeah, but let's add ease of use as well, because this needs to work for everybody. You know, my dad doesn't handle I normally, you know, bring out my dad example, but he doesn't really handle
they're always the best.
Yeah. He doesn't handle Swish. But if he could have just maybe a wristband, and I can help him to basically blip a wristband with a smart chip on, and there we give him some. He has then some digital cash. He can go to the shop and he blips that when he's paying. That would be a beautiful way for elderly people, but also for say small children. How will they cope with that when they can't sort of go and even buy candy anymore? Because you can't equip them all with their smartphones, really. The ease of use and having it on all sort of form factors is also, I think, absolutely a requirement for CBDC as well.
Yeah. So just let's stay with that for one second. You talk about the elderly people, kids. If we have what are the benefits for let's say an entrepreneur, well, a restaurant owner up in the mountains, in the Himalayas, for example? What could be the well, benefits for entrepreneur in a small business on the countryside?
This would, as a merchant, this would always work. He doesn't have to buy a card terminal because typically, you know, a card is offline as well. But then he has to be an online service, or he have to be able to receive it in offline mode. But he has to buy quite an expensive sort of card terminal. Here, he just have to have an you just have to have basically downloaded a certificate, and then he can trust those payments coming in, and then he can walk down the mountain to a place where he has connectivity, and then he can bank his transactions. But there's no cost whatsoever for the terminal side for such a vendor in the, was it Himalayas he was, or where was he?
Well, you could take Romelåsen.
Yeah, Romelåsen. Yeah, there are no coverage at Romelåsen.
no, it's not very high either. Okay, so what about out on the Atlantic Ocean? Do we have any situations where it might be any obstacles?
No, we can pay at the moon.
At the moon. Okay, let's go there. So if you could go to an ordinary citizen in India, are they prepared? Do they want this? Do they know about it? Are they asking for it? Go again.
I think the banks are definitely seeing a demand for this, because if you look at, and like what Magnus just said, India is already sitting at 4.5 billion transactions a month, in instant payments alone, right? And there are the other transactions, and we are aiming for almost 1 billion transactions a day. Right. So with that kind of volume, where is that kind of volume going to come from? Right. Because there is a certain portion of the population that is participating in digital transactions today. The rest is going to come when the inclusiveness of the programs increase. Right. And that's the need for such a solution, which can actually equip every single citizen of the country to make digital payments in any kind of data environment or physical environment.
So thank you. Let's go to the questions from the chat forum. Here's from Pashpa Marwal. Hi, I wish to know what can be a use case of CBDC in transaction banking, wholesale banking payment. What are the benefits of CBDC over crypto, and why not opt for crypto instead of CBDC? Do you get the question? Anyone?
Yeah, I don't know. I can take a first shot at it, but I think payments is a very regulated market, and the central banks want, because this has to do with the stability and having a currency in a country in order to do politics, monetary politics, and so on. So by just giving it over to crypto, the regulators are in a way, they're defaulting out of payments. Really, they don't want to do that. There are many countries who have completely banned crypto. China is one. And I think, I don't know if you, last week, Facebook withdraw from DM, which was their sort of crypto scheme. The reason being, I believe, is that they felt it was too much opposition from the regulators. And so this is not, I think, a way forward. Also, crypto is so terribly slow. Worldwide, the number of transactions, say on Bitcoin, is 7 transactions per second worldwide. With all these computers, you probably have to have, nuclear power plants to drive them as well, all these computers. And it's simply not for transactions. This is a speculative instrument for many people. There are faster schemes built on crypto, but I think it will be one flavor, but it will be under the regime of a CBDC, that they can allow crypto just as one payment rail, as well as instant or cards or whatever. I think that's how it will come in.
Magnus, Gogan, do you agree?
And we could also add that, from Crunchfish perspective, our solution could run on crypto or CBDC or whatever scheme. So we have even created our own crypto called Crunchcoin. Yeah, in order to just show that it's possible. So there is no limitation in our product to support crypto. But in this session, we're talking about the CBDC and how to actually, that the solution could support the central banks. So just to be clear on that.
Yeah, go.
And more so, I think in some of the countries like India, I think crypto might soon get recognized as an asset class rather than a form of money, right? So it might attract taxation, right? So what's the point of paying with something which the receiving party will have to kind of pay tax on?
Pashpa, if you have follow-up questions, please just post them. I hope you got something from these answers. Let's go to the next question.
Johan, before we did get a question on LinkedIn as well. We are broadcasting this, so we only see the. But I am thanks to Alejandro here, who is sitting in me helping us setting up this on LinkedIn. We've got questions on LinkedIn, so I have one here. From India as well, and that is, how do we validate the authenticity of the current transfer from the payer to the payee in an offline mode? You need to validate for the genuine banknote being transferred digitally. Sort of, how do we do that? And again, this is the beauty of these digital cash messages, because what we do is that it's sort of a two-tier model here as well. It's a two-tier model from the level of, first, we can establish trust. We establish trust in the system via those certificates. So there are certificates in the market, which is the trust level. You trust the certificates. You can either have them yourself, or you can go online to validate the payment via that trust level. That is there beforehand. That's sort of being set up. Then the transaction comes, and then you use that trust structure. Either you have it on your own, or you go online, as I said. But it's a two-tier model. One is the level of trust. The other one is the actual transaction. And the transaction itself is those digital cash messages that I will talk about.
Okay, well, thank you. So I will just I'll join in on the LinkedIn format as well, so I can see the questions from there. Pashpa, he was satisfied with the last answer. Let's go to the next question. With recent announcement on CBDC, how do you think CBDC will impact Indian financial services landscape? Let's go to Gogan.
No, I think we've already probably answered that question, but definitely while it'll take maybe a year to kind of pilot this in India, I do see the Indian government pushing this in a big way, because there will be a lot of cost efficiencies associated with the product. There, as you can see, digital payments are already very, very popular. So before crypto kind of takes the the market by a storm, I think CBDC is what's going to be launched by the government as a very efficient form of payment.
Yeah. I see the time is running, and it's 5 minutes to breakfast. So I just have a final question for you. And so if we took a look in the future, what can we do tomorrow that we can't do today? Let's give it 10 years from now. What are your visions? Magnus, you start. What can we do tomorrow that we can't do today?
Yeah, but I think you will see combination of a lot of the technologies which are out there today. So you maybe just think of payment and you will pay. Or like, so we have two business area. We have the gestures.
I think you should get the other direction. Think of getting money and you will get it.
Yeah, exactly. Think
That's
of
the law of
work and
attraction, Johan. Law of attraction, we heard that sort of. Whatever you think, you manifest itself.
Okay. So, well, elaborate even more.
No, but I mean, there is to pay is actually just a mean of making a identification, and that you pretty much just tell someone that you're willing to pay, and you can do that much easier, and you can combine a lot of the different services easy with a lot of technology, like we have with gestures. You maybe have a certain gesture thing you do, and if you combine that with a payment, then you paid. Why do it? Yeah, exactly.
10 rupees.
Yeah. I mean, there is so much why, and we all already see that now. The pandemic have shown that you don't need to go to a stiller or like a cash register to pay. It's just stupid. You can do it from anywhere, and then you just walk out. We have the Amazon Go and all of these things. So we will see a total different thing in stores. That everything, yeah, you will, and then you will also see people working differently than they do today.
Yeah. Gogan, what can you do tomorrow that you can't do today?
I think, like Magnus said, contextual payments is definitely something that's going to happen in the future, in the near future. We are already seeing pilot projects probably being evaluated by the central bank in that direction. People are being asked to come out with ideas, and with the help of the central bank probably implement them and showcase solutions. So this is not very, very far away, right?
No.
I'm like, it's not as though it's happening in more advanced countries, and even in countries like India, which is again in the payments domain definitely on the forefront. We are already thinking about these solutions.
Okay, great. And you, Joachim, what are your visions for tomorrow?
Well, Digital Cash Online works. We have it. It's launched. Digital Cash Offline works. That is what we're going to roll out to every bank, every payment service, and any central bank in the world. What we're just going to do in the next 3 months is to also deliver digital cash on smart chips, cards and variables as well. Then we have the entire architecture for worldwide rollout. That's what we're looking forward to really just take digital cash with storm to the world.
I understand that. It will be a fascinating, future and the next year, I believe. So thank you all for participating from Stockholm and India. And so just give the last minutes to you, Joachim. Let's talk about the future weeks, the next Fridays.
Yeah,
you have the dates here. Tell us.
Yeah, exactly. Every Friday, same time, 8 o'clock Central European, 12:30 India. Next time we'll be on Gesture. We'll talk about the exoskeleton platform. You don't want to miss that. On the 18th, we will have an external presenter coming from Viki. This is our partner who have developed a secure environment on mobile phones, and how we work with them in Southeast Asia. It will be Peter Lam from Viki presenting. 25th, we're going to talk about investor relations, how we work with that at Crunchfish. And then, as I said, quite an interesting, the secret sauce of digital cash. These are these messages. You don't want to miss that in 4 weeks from now.
Okay, well, great. So thanks once again, Gogan, for participating. Good to have you with us. Magnus, thank you so much. I hope you all enjoyed watching this Friday session. And of course, Jorfus. Thank you. So that's your new name, Jorfus. Okay. Yes,
that's me.
That's you. So I hope you all enjoyed, and see you next Friday then. And please bring some more people, good friends, because this will be definitely for everyone to learn to know. So let's be early on. That's my tip for today. Have a good Friday. And what will happen tonight, Gogan? What will you do tonight? Friday night.
This is Friday evening, going out.
Yes. Where? Tell us. A good restaurant.
Absolutely, with the family. So look forward to that.
Okay. Well, send our regards, and see you next Friday then. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you, Johan. Cheers.
Bye bye, everybody.